Hi, fifth grade. Welcome to activity day 2 um, for chapter 10, Tensions Grow Between the Colonies and Great Britain. Today we are going to continue connecting metaphors such as principal-class conflict to colonist frustration with British legislative acts. I want you to go ahead and get out your interactive student notebook and open it to page 62, and also get logged into TCI because we are going to be doing a lot of reading and taking notes. So go ahead and pause the video now so you can get your interactive notebook and open to page 62, get something to write with, and log into TCI. Press play when you are ready to continue. All right, welcome back. You are going to start this activity by reading section 1, the French and Indian War, in your student text. So I'm just going to show you in TCI. It looks like this. If you do the drop down, section 1, you are going to be reading about the French and Indian War. When you are done reading, go ahead and press play so we can continue with the video. Welcome back. Great Britain's victory in the French and Indian War gave the nation more land. But it also left the British with huge debts, which would lead to conflict with colonists. You have compared the relationship between Great Britain and the colonies to a parent and a growing child in the previous activity and the preview of this lesson. You have also compared it to the PTA and students. Sorry, that is what we did in the activity. We used the PTA and student metaphor in the activity. And now with the partner, if you're watching this video, you're probably doing this on your own, but you are now going to examine another metaphor in order to understand what events caused tension to grow between the colonies and Great Britain. As you read, you will complete the T-charts that are on page 62 and 63. So that's why I asked you to get your book open to page 62. You are going to use those T-charts to show how a principal-class relationship is a metaphor for historic events. So our next step is reading section 2, the Proclamation of 1763 in your student text. So again, you're going to go to TCI, go to section 2, and read about the Proclamation of 1763. When you're done, please press play. All right, welcome back. Now, I want you to go ahead and look at page 62. That first chart there is for the Proclamation of 1763. The metaphor says the principal is concerned that some classes are getting into arguments on the playground. And the principal says that your class can only stay on the basketball court during recess. You are going to take a look at those events in the metaphor and complete the T-chart by filling in the history section and describing which events in the Proclamation of 1763 are parallel to those two events that I just read to you. Go ahead and pause the video now so you can complete the in history part of the T-chart. All right, welcome back. Let's go ahead and check our answers. The principal is concerned that some classes are getting into arguments on the playground. Is a metaphor for Great Britain is concerned about fighting between American Indians and colonists in the territory west of the Appalachian Mountains. So you should have something like that for this metaphor here. The second metaphor says the principal says that your class can only stay on the basketball court during recess. And in history, it's Great Britain orders colonists not to settle west of the Appalachian Mountains. So if you need to pause the video now to check your answers, please do so and press play to continue. All right, next step, you are going to read section 3, the Quartering Act in TCI. It looks like this. So go ahead and read the Quartering Act and press play when you are ready to continue. Welcome back. Just like with section 2, you are going to complete the history part of the T-chart. The metaphors are: the principal sends school aides to watch over your class during recess, and students are expected to provide snacks for the aides. Go ahead and write and fill out the history part of this chart and press play when you are ready to continue. Welcome back. Let's go ahead and discuss and read the answers. Here we go. For the principal sends school aides to watch over your class during recess, that would be Great Britain leaves soldiers in the American colonies to protect the colonists. For students are expected to provide snacks for the aides, you could have written down the colonists are angry about having to house and supply the British soldiers. So in this case, the colonists and the students are the same, and the aides would be the British soldiers. For this metaphor up here, same thing. Soldiers are the aides, and the colonies are colonists. All right. Here we go. You are now going to read section 4, the Stamp Act in TCI. It looks like this. Go ahead and pause the video so you can read that and be ready to fill out the chart. Welcome back. You may already know that you have to complete the Stamp Act chart on page 62. The metaphors are: the principal requires that your class pay to use basketballs during recess. The other metaphor is: students had no say in this unfair rule. It upsets them. Go ahead and put down what you think it represents in the history part of the chart. Press play when you are ready to continue. All right, let's look at the answers. For the principal requires that your class pay to use basketballs during recess. That would be Great Britain, or the principal, passes a law that makes colonists pay a tax on printed items. So again, in this metaphor, you guys, or the students are the colonists, and the principal is Great Britain. For the metaphor, students had no say in this unfair rule. It upsets them. Again, students are the colonists. They protest against taxation without representation. All right, you are now going to read section 5, the Boston Massacre, in your student text. And I'm sorry, I'm probably going too fast, so I'm just going to go back here. If you need to pause the video to check your answers, you can do so now and press play when you are ready to continue with section 5. All right, you are now going to read about the Boston Massacre in section 5 in your student text. It looks like this. When you are done reading about the Boston Massacre, please press play to hear the directions for the next T-chart. All right, so you're going to complete the section for the T-chart for section 5, the Boston Massacre. The metaphors are: students and school aides argue. I wonder who the students are and I wonder who the aides are. The principal punishes your class for arguing with the aides. Again, who's the principal, who's the aides? Think about the last metaphors to help you fill out the T-chart on page 63 for section 5. Press play when you are ready to continue. All right, let's check our answers. Students and school aides argue. Who could that represent in our history? Oops. Crowds taunt British soldiers and throw snowballs. So the crowds would be the students, the British soldiers are the aides. The principal punishes your class for arguing with aides. So the British soldiers fire into the crowd and kill 5 people. Go ahead and pause the video now if you need to check your answers and press play when you are ready to continue. All right, we're going to read section 6, the Boston Tea Party, in your student text. Just going to show you what it looks like. The Boston Tea Party looks like this in TCI. When you are done reading this section, please press play. You're going to complete the T-chart on page 63 for section 6. The metaphors are: the principal makes a rule that your class can only buy one kind of juice during lunch. The other metaphor: students protest this rule by throwing the juice into the trash. So go ahead and pause the video now so you can fill out the history part of that T-chart. Press play when you are ready to continue. All right, let's reveal the answers. Or the principal makes a rule that your class can only buy one kind of juice during lunch. This would be represented in the Boston Tea Party, where it says the colonists are upset at being forced to purchase tea from only the British East India Company. So again, your class or the students of the class are the colonists, and they were being forced to purchase tea from only the British East India Company. The next metaphor: students protest this rule by throwing the juice into the trash. Colonists are the students again. Colonists dump tea into the Boston Harbor. Go ahead and pause the video here if you need to check your answers. Our last section that we will be reading today is section 7, the Intolerable Acts. It looks like this in TCI. Go ahead and press play after you are done reading. All right, you may have guessed it. You're going to fill out the last T-chart on page 63 for the Intolerable Acts. The metaphors are: to keep your class under control, the principal declares that students cannot leave the classroom for recess or lunch. The other metaphor is: students are angry and hold a meeting. Go ahead and fill that out and press play when you are ready to continue. All right. For the metaphor, to keep your class under control, the principal declares that students cannot leave the classroom for recess or lunch. That is, in history, that is, Great Britain punishes colonists with several harsh laws, such as the Boston Port Act. Students are angry and hold a meeting. This would be when the First Continental Congress fights against the Intolerable Acts. So go ahead and pause the video now if you need to check your answers, and press play when you are ready to continue. All right, great job filling out the T-charts on page 62 and 63. That concludes the activity day 2 for chapter 10. So you can go ahead and go to the assignment and click turn in for Wednesday, chapter 10, activity day 2. Have a great day, 5th grade.